champion boxing and sports. And boxing, you find a way to win and find a way to lose. Tyson Fury is back at it again. Glad to see he's speaking out. Dillian Whyte decided that he would start to kind of entertain interviews and speak a little bit. We all know he wasn't speaking at all, wasn't turning up to press conferences, refused to help promote the fight. Sounds like Dillian Whyte plans on showing up to the weigh-in and giving the media and the fans a face-off and everything else. So in that instance, he plans on being professional, which is what he said. But anything above and beyond, he said he's just not going to do it. But the thing is, Dillian Whyte just talking was what Tyson Fury needed. And this is why Dillian Whyte, and I think his team, knew it was best to just not go on stage and have a back and forth with Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is very good at mind games. And the thing is, it's impossible to know what to believe when Tyson Fury speaks before a fight. We all know when he was getting ready to fight Deontay Wilder, going into that second fight in particular, Tyson Fury was saying how he was going to change his strategy. He learned from the first fight, and he was going to go head on with Deontay Wilder, and he wanted to taste that power again, and he was going to knock him out. And no one believed that. No one believed that at all. Actually, he was actually scoffed off, and people felt that Tyson Fury was just messing with Wilder's head. But this is the thing, Tyson Fury is the consummate boxer, and we all know that. And Deontay Wilder is a hard-hitting KO artist. Dillian Whyte is a hard-hitting KO artist. So it didn't make sense for Tyson Fury to go out there and actually try to knock out the hard-hitting Wilder. But we all know what happened. He battered Wilder, stopped him in the 7th round, went on to a third fight. Fight was a lot more competitive, but it was pretty much one-sided. But now that Tyson Fury is just days away from fighting with Dillian Whyte, he's back to the same old tricks. And it's a little bit different this time because now Fury's talking about how he used golf to increase his punching power. And that is just hilarious. And he's talking about how he's been training in the southpaw style to try something different against Whyte. He says if fighting as a southpaw doesn't work, he'll go back orthodox. If that doesn't work, he'll go back southpaw. If it's still not working, he'll go head on with Dillian Whyte. And there seems to be little reason that Fury would even try to go left-handed against Whyte because all the advantages are on Fury's side. So why would he try to introduce this new variable that wouldn't seem to be in his best interest? But we know that when it comes to mind games, that Tyson Fury is just really strategic, and he's a genius when it comes to that. But at the same time, it's still hard to say whether he's going to do it or not. I tend to believe Tyson Fury will try it because he can. You got to look at his size. He's a gargantuan. Like he's that giant he's like the guy who lives up there on the beanstalk. When Jack messed around and climbed up and this big giant was there, that's what Tyson Fury is. And he has all the advantage when it comes to this fight. So he can easily go southpaw, go orthodox, bang with him, move around. He can have fun in there if he wants because he has a higher IQ. He's seen as the best heavyweight boxer in the world right now. And going into this fight, I just can't see Dillian Whyte really having a chance against Tyson Fury as long as Tyson Fury fights smart and keeps his distance. But it's just a matter of time before we see if, in fact, and I've never heard of golfing helping to increase punching power. Now, when Dillian Whyte came out and talked today, it gave Fury, I think, an opportunity to say, okay, he's talking. Obviously, now we know he's paying attention. Now we know he's just trying to remain reticent, not to lose the kind of upper hand, because really Dillian Whyte had the upper hand. He sat back reticent. He didn't say anything. Now that he's talking, he's starting to give away some of that advantage. You see, it's like Deontay Wilder going into that third fight with Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder had the advantage because he wasn't talking. Nobody, it's like he was secluded somewhere, and no one knew what was going on with him. But when he started talking and started saying, "Oh, you cheated," started talking about the gloves, talking about the referee, talking about his quarterman, that's where he started to lose steam, and people started to kind of say, "Okay, go back into hiding. We don't want to hear you." I personally respect what he had to say. I mean, that's what he felt. Some people say that there were legit claims. I don't know about that. I haven't seen it. There's been no proof. He said there was no proof, but he said he knows it happened. So I'm not even peeling that scab back anymore. But what I am saying is, when Deontay Wilder started talking, he started to lose an advantage because Tyson Fury took what he was saying and just ran with it. And right now, he realizes that Dillian Whyte is actually paying attention. So now he's using it as an opportunity to say what I think are just things from out in the left field to just tie up Dillian's brain. And I think it's going to get Whyte's attention. Not sure how much of a benefit it's going to be to Tyson Fury as far as advantage wise, but Dillian Whyte needs to just be quiet. One thing I did notice about Dillian Whyte, I did a video on it earlier today. He's not talking with a whole lot of confidence, and I'm just not sure if that's a good thing or not. But I do know that when it comes to Tyson Fury, if he is planning to fight as a southpaw, or really the objective was to go out there and practice his golf swing and drive the ball 400 yards, and that's supposed to increase his power. I know getting into that ring, that if Whyte buys into that, gets caught up into the mind games, it's already a win for Fury, because Fury's mentally strong and he's one of the best trash talkers in the business. Now the thing is, right, that's one of the beauties about Fury, is we just never know what he's going to say. You never know what he's going to do in the ring. He may actually go in there and try to walk Whyte down and exchange punches with him. And we know that can be detrimental to Tyson Fury, because Dillian Whyte, no matter how inexperienced, no matter how uncoordinated he looks, he can hit. And if Tyson Fury gets in there and try to have an exchange with him and not use the strengths, natural attributes he has to make the fight easy, it could be problematic. But I just don't see that, but it could happen. But one thing we know for sure is that if Tyson Fury wins, we know for sure he's going to sing to the crowd, because he's always singing. But as far as how he's going to approach the fight, we don't know. It's funny because even his trainer, Sugar Hill, this is what some people don't know. Dillian Whyte has trained with some trainers from out of the Crump gym before. So they say that has a lot to do with Dillian Whyte's style of looking for the knockout and being a knockout artist. So the advantages that Fury has now by having Sugar Hill there, Dillian Whyte's already kind of gone through that circuit and took from that circuit what he could to make himself better as a fighter. Very similar to what with Savannah Marshall going over there working with Floyd Mayweather and being underneath the TMT banner for a moment. She got to work and see something different before coming back to the UK. Dillian Whyte got to see something different, then went back to just the UK trainers. And this is what makes it interesting, because I did not realize that. So anyway, now that Tyson Fury is with Sugar Hill actually made some refinements to Tyson Fury's style. They've actually changed camp up a little bit, try to break up the monotony, because it's just in training camp after training camp can be boring, and unless you kind of spice it up a bit, it can almost be a waste of time and not a really effective training camp. So we know Tyson Fury sees himself as a fighting man, and he keeps talking about retiring after the Whyte fight, but I just don't think Tyson Fury's going to retire either. I just don't see that happening, because it's still got a big fight out there with AJ or Usyk, whoever wins. I personally think people would still rather see him fight AJ than Usyk. But Usyk is, there's no word to describe Usyk. He's beyond a warrior, beyond resilient. But I think people would still rather see Tyson Fury fight AJ. Tyson Fury is rich beyond his wildest imagination. He's back to his mind games. He may quit. You just don't know what Tyson Fury is going to do. But when it comes to Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury in the cat and mouse game, that's just something. That's an area that Dillian Whyte just does not need to visit. He needs to stay away with it, stay away from it, because he can't win. Tyson Fury is obsessed with boxing. He's obsessed with being a fighting man. He's obsessed with winning, whether it's verbal or physical. And he's always going to find a way to win verbally. And he's been doing pretty good at finding a way to win since he turned pro. I think he's only been pro like 7 years. So it's pretty impressive when you think about Tyson Fury and everything that he's accomplished. So that being said, in my opinion, when it comes to Dillian Whyte, he's going to have to get into Tyson Fury's chest, because he's not going to get into his head. And that's the only way I think he really has a chance, is to really get into his chest and really entertain that 94,000 that's going to be at Wembley Stadium. Because if he doesn't do that, he doesn't stand a chance. I just don't think he stands a chance. And actually, Tyson Fury, I keep saying 7, man. Because I keep thinking about Dillian Whyte and how long he's been trying to get these big fights and everything. Tyson Fury's been pro for, I think it's 13, 14 years. So he's been pro for a while, but Dillian Whyte can have to get in his chest. Tyson Fury's back to the mind games, and expect more to come. Expect more to come from Tyson Fury. Just in the last couple of years, man, Tyson Fury's net worth has just really ballooned from 15 million or so to over 150 million. Tyson Fury's in a great position. Dillian Whyte's kind of still watching and wishing that he was making that kind of money. But if Dillian Whyte wants to make that kind of money, he has to defeat Tyson Fury. And he's going to have to change his attitude, which it sounds like he's trying to do it, but he needs to wait until after the fight. But more to come on Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. I'm going to do more videos as we get closer to this Saturday. I just think Tyson Fury is one of those guys who, as a human being, just really looks for these moments to make history. And I think he relishes in these moments, and I think he enjoys it. And when he gets someone who wants to play with him, like Deontay Wilder did, Tyson Fury really takes it to that next level and finds a way to win. Because I'm telling you right now, the word dosser, most people never even heard of that damn word till Tyson Fury started referring to Deontay Wilder as a dosser. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people that thought it was a derogatory word or was a racial slur, and I started laughing because it made people go out there and pull up the damn dictionary, or actually just jump on the internet and Google the word and see what the hell a dosser is. But Tyson Fury is like the soundbite king. You know, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, whether you agree with it or not, Tyson Fury is funny. And I just think going into this fight with Dillian Whyte, the best thing he can do is just sit back and be quiet, show up to the press conferences. Doesn't have to say much, but definitely, show up to the weigh-in. Don't try to petition to have your weigh-in separate. I just think long-term that hurts him. I did another video on this, and the promoters aren't going to want to work with someone like that, knowing there's a risk of them just deciding to throw a temper tantrum and not want to participate. That's just not. I personally wouldn't do that unless there was something really wrong, or I felt super violated, or there was a safety concern. But other than that, man, it is what it is. You're paying me millions of dollars, 3 times more than what I've ever made. It is what it is. You want more money, win the fight. So we'll see what comes of it. But anyway, more to come on Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. But the mind games have started. Dillian Whyte chose to open his mouth and start talking. Tyson Fury is capitalizing now, saying he's playing golf to increase his punching power and how he plans on fighting Dillian Whyte as a southpaw. And you better believe Dillian Whyte's watching the videos and he's hearing about this. And that could throw a bit of a monkey wrench in his plan if they've been training with guys who are tall, fighting orthodox stance. Tyson Fury doesn't fight southpaw, but he may come out in the beginning just to confuse Whyte, and that could work to his advantage, or that could be disastrous. But we won't know until fight night. But anyway, that being said, man, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the veterans. Thanks for your support, and make sure you subscribe. Keep safe, and as always, I'm in the breeze.